Why normal or sane people don't make great traders. So the real question here is why, and what is the definition of sane or normal? My name is Ash Playstead, trading psychology master coach and active trader for the past 25 years. Thank you for joining me wherever you may be in the world, and a very warm welcome to episode 40 of the Trading Psychology and Mindset Show podcast. It is 9 a.m. Wednesday, November the 16th, 2022, here in Southeast Australia. And as always, I'll be diving deep into what is needed to retrain the mind we bring to trading into the mind we need for profitable and sustainable trading success. So let's get into the content of today's podcast. And today we're going to go deeper into the requirements of making it as a trader. Now, this applies no matter where you may be on your journey, anywhere from just curious to having been at it for many years. And look, let me start by saying I'm not a clinician, and we are not addressing what you might want to call the technical or clinical definitions of sanity. Now, Steve Jobs once said that to be successful as a startup entrepreneur, you must have an insane level of passion and love for what you are doing. Otherwise, it's inevitable that you'll do the same thing and give up. Now, I think this is very relevant for trading for a living, because in order to emerge as a successful trader, which I would define as extracting a reliable and consistent source of income from the markets, whatever that amount may be for you, a person must be possessed of an enormous level of commitment, of passion, a love of the game, because it's just too damn hard otherwise. Now, there's a very important transition required to become successful in trading. And this involves letting go of much of what you, your family of origin, society in general, may regard as normal or sane. And it can take, and nearly always does, anywhere from 3 to 5 years for most people to become aware of the changes required and to then internalize them fully. And most importantly, of course, apply them to their trading. Now, I, as a trading coach and an active trader, I often coach traders through this transition, and it becomes much more about self-mastery than any specific knowledge gaps a trader may have. And for most people, the ability to consistently apply the knowledge they've acquired whilst life, with all its color, its joy, its pain, swirls around them. That's actually the hardest part. Acquiring the knowledge is not the hard part. Applying it specifically during the turbulence of life, this is what trips most people over. And it's also where the notion of sane people don't succeed as traders really comes in. Now, a sane person would give up at this stage. A sane person would go and get a real job with a paycheck they can count on. A sane person would probably reprioritize aspects of their life ahead of making it as a trader. A sane person would most likely choose to reintegrate back into normal society, giving up on trading as a bit of a fool's paradise. And you know what? They would be completely right to do that. All of those reasons are completely valid for many, many people. And this is the great transition that flips most otherwise very capable people out of trading. And rightly so, as it's a tough game. And it's suitable only for a very small percentage of the normal population. You've probably heard these statistics thrown around that, 95% of people who start out trading don't make it. Now, whether that number is 90%, 95%, 99%. The point of it is there's reasons why so few people make it. And it's not for lack of knowledge. It's this transition from doing what might appear to be sane and normal and actually transitioning away from the herd. So here we are, folks, right at the crossroads of sanity. And the fork in the road between everything you would otherwise regard as normal, being asked a very direct and tough question. And what is that question? Well, that question is, are you prepared to do what is completely unnormal, i.e. insane by definition, to continue your pursuit of financial security via trading? This is really the fork in the road. Are you prepared to do what is not normal or potentially viewed by many people as insane to pursue your dream of financial security via trading? So I'd like to recall the timeless words of Albert Einstein. When he described insanity as continuing to repeat the same behavior, yet expecting a different result. So this is the crossroads you will find yourselves at. Every trader does find themselves at this crossroads eventually. Having invested considerable time, considerable money, and considerable effort into learning and pursuing trading success. So you're faced with this existential challenge. Do I keep digging in the direction I'm digging? Maybe the gold is only 6 inches away. Or do I give more time elsewhere? And what happens here for a lot of people is they shift that anxiety and stress into acquiring more knowledge, jumping from one guru to another system to another. More knowledge is the way that stress and anxiety gets projected for many people. Or do I simply write the experience off, walk away, and return to a normal existence? This is where the opportunity to break through exists. So that's the exciting thing. This is where the real opportunity to break through in your trading exists, because buried deep inside the complex challenge is the answer. And how often that is the case in life, that the answers to what you seek are camouflaged behind the biggest problems. Or at very least, the signs pointing you in the right direction are there. So what is the right direction, you might rightly be asking? So let's spend some time laying that out as a sort of a path to follow. So firstly, the baseline. Does the system you are using, whether it be yours or someone else's, and it really doesn't matter, actually work? And by work, I mean, does your trading system have an edge built in? If executed flawlessly over a large series of trades, extract an acceptable risk-return ratio, i.e., do you take more capital out of the markets than you contribute back to the markets over time? Now, I just want to make an important side note here too, in that your financial targets from trading should always be represented by risk-reward and units, not by a dollar figure. I think that's a very, very common error, that traders focus their goals around dollars. That's a very common mistake, right, by new and more experienced traders alike. Any trading system can easily be dialed up or down simply by increasing the dollar value of a unit. But it's the unit of return versus the unit of risk that must be your focus. We can talk about that if you'd like in another episode, the mathematics of how to make trading work. So, okay, now for the real issue I'm trying to direct your attention to. It's the act of practice of learning something, right? This is where we really need to zero in. And it is here where it becomes much clearer why normal, sane doesn't cut it in trading. Because you must be an outlier. I'll repeat that. You must be an outlier, which is you must be opposite to what the crowd is doing or normal people are doing. Just because you're good at something to begin with, to be successful, you almost have to be a changed person. So being good at something versus being successful at something requires you to change as a person. Now, the famous researcher, I think he was Dutch. Anyway, the famous researcher, Anders Ericsson, talks about deliberate practice and the 10,000 hour rule, which you've probably heard of. And I think then it was Malcolm Gladwell, then Robert Greene, who brought this to the attention of the world through their books. Outliers, that was Gladwell's book, and Mastery, Robert Greene's book, brought this to the attention of the world. And I am an outlier, and I know why I'm an outlier personally. Now, you can also be an outlier if you did what I did. and you will need to know both what to practice and how to deliberately practice. So in order to get better, to break through this challenge, you need to change how you're able to do something. True improvement doesn't come from idly going over old charts by rote or by mindlessly repeating something. What does improve your performance is not the quantity, but the quality of the practice. So the hours spent, what I'm saying here is the hours spent are less important, even though that is what Gladwell argued. What will improve your trading performance is solving specific problems. This is what Erickson really meant in his work about deliberate practice. You are completing a task, solving a problem, rather than mindlessly going over an old routine. That's the difference between mindless practice versus problem solving, specific, completing a task practice. So 10,000 hours of just doing something is not correct. You have to operate outside your comfort zone, and your focus should be tightly and specifically on what you are practicing. And this takes enormous mental effort. This is where there's real work required, enormous mental effort. And again, this leads us back to my earlier statement of sane, normal people don't make it in trading, as most sane people would walk away at this point when confronted with the harsh reality of the work and effort that lays ahead of them. Now, especially so after already flogging themselves for a few years trying to figure this trading game out, to suddenly have it pointed out that you've got this work ahead of you. This is where a lot of people fall away in trading. Now, my dearest hope for you is that this is where you step up rather than step out. You have to let go of normal. You have to let go of sane. You have to let go of your past understanding of goals. And you also need to get feedback. So what can you change that will improve your performance? Now, my case is that it is where and how you focus your efforts and practice that makes all the difference. Now, many will not know what that is. And as a result, their trader training is just the act of going over old charts. Now, this is a problem because something called apophenia sets in. You may have heard that term before. Apophenia is the concept of seeing something which actually isn't there, or it's only there in your mind. Now, a good teacher, coach, mentor can look at your performance and direct you. This is where coaching or mentoring is so important at this point, because they can direct your performance in the right and your practice in the right areas. Now, I would argue you don't really need that in the technical part of trading, the science part, the technical part of trading, but you absolutely need it in the mental part of trading. So, he or she can help you set tasks which are stimulating and driven by your curiosity. Okay? He or she can set you tasks which are stimulating and driven by your curiosity. I hope that last statement makes some resonant sense. Okay, now, I see we've got a couple of questions in the chat, so we've got a little bit of time, a couple of minutes, so I'm going to have a look at these couple of questions. What have we got here? Lena from Copenhagen. Hi, Lena. Lovely to meet you. Now, what's Lena's question? I've just started day trading a little in my spare time. I'm still working full-time and wondering how long do you think it takes to move from part-time to full-time trading for a living? So that's a very good question, Lena. Now, the truth of this is that it takes one person somewhere from 3 to 5 years to break through to a consistent level of profitability in trading. Now, my advice here is to focus on two key things, Lena. Now, number one, keep your risks as low as possible so you stay alive as long as possible. Keep your risks low so you stay alive long enough while you're learning. Don't aim to make huge profits or lots of money early on. Keep your full-time job and just learn without big risk. So the goal here is to learn and develop yourself. Number two, invest some time and resources into self-development with a really special focus on developing your trading state of mind. That is the thing that most traders put off until it's too late. Okay. One more question here. Virat from Mumbai. Hello, Virat. You're asking, what is the single biggest lesson I've learned in my trading journey and would pass on? Okay, it's a really good question, Virat. And thank you for coming in. I would say, off the top of my head, that it is to accept that you are the biggest challenge and also the biggest opportunity in your trading career. So switching and shifting your mindset away from thinking that there's a secret trading system or there's a certain piece of knowledge or there's some nugget of gold within technical knowledge that is going to unlock trading riches. That's incorrect. So the biggest bit of advice I can give you is to accept that you are both the biggest challenge and the biggest opportunity in your trading. I mean, it took me a little over 10 years to really figure that out. And I truly wish that I had a mentor much earlier that could have put me on the right track. And look, that would have saved me several years and tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. I was just fortunate enough to stay alive long enough in trading to figure this out for myself. Okay, so they're great questions. Thanks. And okay, that's it for today, folks. So, whenever you're ready, there's a few ways that I can help you. Okay. Jump over to my YouTube channel and subscribe for the replay of this episode, all prior episodes, lots of training and educational, longer videos, shorter videos. It's always going to be free. That's the resource base to go and consume that content. That's the mindset reflexology. So if you pop mindset reflexology into your YouTube search, you'll bring up the Trading Psychology and Mindset podcast. Also, subscribe to my LinkedIn newsletter. So just jump into LinkedIn, go to my profile, subscribe to my newsletter where I discuss this and other related topics in greater detail. You can come across to my website, mindsetfitmethod.com, and watch detailed training masterclasses. Or if you feel like you would want some direct advice and help right now, then book a one-on-one discovery chat with me via DMing me on LinkedIn or booking into my calendar. They're free. There's nothing to sell. I just love having those 20 or 30-minute discovery chats where we can really, really get you on the right path and accelerate your journey to trading success. So wherever you may be in the world, I thank you for joining me, and I wish you a week ahead of mindful trading. See you at the same time, same day next week for another episode of the Trading Psychology and Mindset Show.